Hey everybody, what's up? Mike Gross here, rockinguitarlessons.com, putting out a Skype tutorial to inform you guys if you're interested in taking some private lessons on Skype, which is just, you go to skype.com, download it, it's real quick and easy. Gotta have a webcam, and you're taking private lessons, you're up and running. I'm teaching guitar and bass. My wife Jolene is teaching people how to sing. So, pretty fun way to learn. You know, it's kind of like pretty much the same as coming to my studio for a lesson, and excuse me. Anyways, you get the difference with taking lessons with your teacher in person, which we're going to just say Skype, taking these lessons on Skype. It's basically in person is you get the live feedback. I can see how you're playing, how you're holding your pick, your hand position, and by holding pick, that can mean several different ways. Like where you're grabbing the, I almost dropped this, my baby, that would have been not good. I was working with a few people this past week, ironically, that are kind of insistent on holding their pick like really far back, and it's not good. One of them I've been working with on it for about 4 or 5 weeks, and I noticed her last lesson, she's grabbing the pick a little bit better, and things were sounding more solid and clear. When she had to alternate pick, it just, everything seemed to flow better. Sometimes it's little things that we don't realize. And if no one tells you, you don't know. I've been teaching, the year I started, geez, I guess it's been a long time, you got to count it, 1991, around there. I think I officially went into it full time in 1992. Teaching all through Southern California. About, I don't know, probably maybe a year and a half now, I've a lot of my stuff has switched to online. I still have my private students that come to the studio, and I do teach out of a music store still. But my primary way of teaching is this way, on the internet. If you haven't heard, you know, my website finally launched. That's been like a 2-year journey. That launched a few months back, rockinguitarlessons.com. Actually, all this information I'm giving you here, you can actually find at rockinguitarlessons.com. But basically, the way it's set up, once you have Skype downloaded, and you have a webcam, you send basically it's like a friend request, just like if you have Facebook or whatever, you send the request, I accept it, and or Jolene. My Skype name is Rockin Guitar Lessons, hers is Rockin Jojo, but rather than guess the spelling, go to the website to get the actual, well, I'll probably edit it in this video as well. But once that happens, I accept the request, and you know, I teach all across the world, not just the United States, so I've got students in England and Canada and Sweden, all over the place, and Japan. So we'll have time differences, and in some cases there's actually a day difference in the sense of, I don't know it off the top of my head, my student in, I think England, big time difference to where it's actually the next day for him. Something like that, or vice versa. But Skype tells you that. It keeps track of what time it is, where you're at, and all that. It's, you know, before I started teaching this way, I actually wasn't going to teach on Skype. I was going to stick with my old school method, and, you know, it works for me. It's how I've been doing it, and because you guys is actually why I started doing this, and now it's my primary way of teaching, like I said. Most of the time there's no issues. Occasionally, you know, you have to have high-speed internet. That's important. I think most people do anyways now. But there's little things you got to know. Like sometimes you have to, it's a good idea to reboot your computer before the lesson. Just like safe things to do. Make sure you're signed out. You know, if you're logged into AOL.com or YouTube, log off of all that stuff to where you're just strictly Skype. And doing that 99.9% of the time, everything's good. What I usually do, most of my students like me to do this at the end of the lesson, whether it's taking a half hour or an hour. I got 3 minutes on Skype to record your lesson, all the details of it into 3 minutes, and then I send that to you. It shows up right in the text box on Skype. I wish every single one of my students would do that. I have some that are like, no, you know, I took some notes during the lesson. You know, it's really your call, but I suggest doing the video, you know, getting the 3-minute video, because as time goes on, I have students on Skype that have been taking lessons for a year and a half at this point. So, and it's a good way to you know, have all your stuff on record that you've been doing. You have all your lessons on video. I don't know why the few Skype guys that I have won't do that, but you know, as long as you're learning, that's really what it's about. I have one student that I'll write out the tabs for, because she really feels like she needs those. So I'll write them during the lesson, and then I'll scan them and send it to her email. So what I thought was going to be super difficult is really super effective. It blows my mind how effective it is. So it's like basically coming here for a lesson. Rather than me talk about it, you can go over to rockinguitarlessons.com, click on the Skype lessons tab. They're $59 an hour, and $39 for a half hour. It's all listed on the website. So go check that out. My email is mike@rockinguitarlessons.com. It's a good idea to send me. I'd like to have a little bit of history as far as how long you've been playing, what kind of music you like, what are your favorite guitar players. Do you want to focus more on rhythm playing, solo playing, technique? Little things like that will give me a better idea, so when we start our first lesson on Skype, I have a good idea already of where you're at. And Jolene's basically the same way. You know, you give us a little bit of information so we can be like, okay, I can see where this person's at. If you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, you've only been playing 3 months or 3 years or 20 years and just want to brush up on getting these songs that you've always wanted to get the right way. You know, it's really your call on the lessons. As far as the things you want to work on, that's just how I've always taught. I feel like building off your motivations is really the key. In that, we can go back and see, okay, now you can see where this little solo that we just did, it came from this pentatonic scale, and explain it that way. It's kind of how I learned it, and that's how my students are liking it as well. So that's it. Head on over there, check it out. While you're there, be sure to fill out the contact information at rockinguitarlessons.com. Eventually, we'll in the near future be doing giveaways, guitars, and different stuff. So if you're on that list, you're set up and good to go. All right? So hit us up. We'll talk to you guys later. Mike Gross, rockinguitarlessons.com.